What is up, everybody? To Wilverse TV today, and we had to talk about this situation. So apparently, Colin Moriarty, he was once on IGN, popular with that brand, and now he did his own thing. He is having a little podcast where he's complaining about the possibility of Microsoft buying Take Two, the Grand Theft Auto series. He is so butthurt of that possibility that might happen. It is insane. So we're gonna play the video and see this guy's saltiness and the salty tears of him and his compadres he has on his podcast as well. Because I don't know who the other guys are, but they are just hilarious. The saltiness that's coming on a possibility that might happen. So let's play the video.
Microsoft buying any of those companies would be fucking heinous with a capital H. And it would make people hate Microsoft. No one is going to tolerate a reality in which Microsoft gets Take Two and then takes Grand Theft Auto away from 150 million people that own GTA 5 or something like that. It's just
Let me stop it right there. I like how he says that that's like a terrible reality that 150 million who all people who got the PlayStation, PS4 consoles, and PS5 ecosystem, they're gonna be excluded from buying be excluded from buying GTA. But isn't Spider-Man the most popular Marvel character around? Isn't Wolverine like the next second most popular character? So he had no problem. He was cheering with joy when Sony acquired those two properties, those two popular superheroes for themselves in their PlayStation ecosystem. But Grand Theft Auto being exclusive to Xbox ecosystem, that's a bad thing though. Yeah. This is the blatant hypocrisy. Let's keep going.
nuts. Here's the fucking reality of the situation. Microsoft has done very little with studios that it has nurtured and founded itself. And it is going around and grabbing things off of the market because it cannot satiate that demand internally. And that is not a problem that is happening with PlayStation.
It's not.
That is the two things that
Did like several studios from PlayStation close down? Like, what's the Japanese studio we were complaining about this summer? Didn't they shut that down? People made Gravity Rush that shut that down. I'm pretty sure there's other ones, but it was like PlayStation. It's like, and they get popular licenses too that just flop. Like the Predator game, they got the Predator license, but that Predator game flopped. The Godzilla game, they got a Godzilla license to make actually good Godzilla games, but that game flopped. They made on PS4 generation. So PlayStation, they aren't in the room to talk. Like they really brag about the games that do well, but they just ignore the games that flop horribly. That's what I like with these PlayStation guys. They praise the games that thrive and make it. That's the Sony exclusive, but the Sony exclusives that do bad, they don't talk about them whatsoever. They just like forget they exist.
differentiate the two. But no one can go and say like Sony has gone and really injured other companies with their acquisitions. I look at Xbox. There are some teams where I'm like, come on, man, you guys are just buying things. But why would you buy like Ninja Theory?
Why not?
What was the point of that? What was the point of Double Fine? I mean, obviously Psychonauts 2 is really great, but in terms of culture. And so I just think that that would be another move like that where you're just grabbing things because you can.
There's a lot of people that want to argue about one of Microsoft's greatest strengths is their ability to open up their wallet and buy things for their console.
That's what Sony's doing, right?
From my perspective,
Oh, let's
they have
pause
to
right
buy
there.
things
That's what Sony's doing, right? They making games time exclusive. Final Fantasy VII Remake was supposed to be on Xbox by now, but they keep making time exclusivity deals with these games. Certain games they keep making time exclusive, so I don't know why that's a big deal. It's like Sony's doing it, why can't Microsoft do it too? But let's continue.
because they're so terrible at managing their own teams. Look at the last decade, okay? Look at since the entire Xbox One generation, even slightly before that. Look at games like the Crackdown, right? Crackdown 3. Look at how they handled Fable. Look at how they handled their most valuable IP with Halo.
Okay. Sony isn't doing the same thing. Like, look what happened to Killzone and Resistance. Both those franchises are dead. Like, franchises either die or they get still stagnant. Like, that's the thing, even with Sony's side of view. Like, what is he going at with there? He doesn't name the popular, like, Xbox exclusives either. Like, he says, like, Forza is doing just fine. That's the Xbox studio. The Gears franchise is doing just fine. Halo is, like, looking like the most phenomenal multiplayer game of this holiday season. So I don't know what he's talking about. It's like people were complaining, sure, about the graphics, but people are now saying how the graphics look so realistic now, so the texture looks so realistic. I don't see what's the point of this at this point, and like I don't get it. And Fable's getting rebooted, so what is he talking about? Like this guy hasn't making any sense.
since Bungie's been gone.
Plus, Phantom Dust canceled, Scalebound canceled.
I was about to mention that.
Yeah.
They can't even
How many games have Sony canceled? Like, what's your point?
handle their second-party relationships. So what do? They resort to just buying studios, and you better pray that they don't get involved with the management of these teams, because look at the history. Just look at it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that they very wisely, at least for now, said that they're going to let Bethesda continue to be like a sub-managed brand, because you better hope that they don't get involved, because they continually are screwing up over and over again.
Okay. So, Sony Fanboy. Okay. Like, this is so ridiculous. It's like they have the greatest service on the market right now that people are talking about daily. Sony fanboys can't stop talking about Game Pass, but they're doing it wrong all of a sudden. They are innovative in making a quick resume feature, so when you leave a game, you can go right back to it. And it's like they're innovative in all these different ways, but it's a problem. Okay. So let's read some of these comments, because like I said, this one kind of viral about these guys complaining, whining like little babies over this Microsoft buying studios, but they have no problem with, but PlayStation does it though. PlayStation buys studios, it's like they all cheer for joy when Microsoft buys a studio. It's all doom and gloom. So let's read some of these comments. If PlayStation buys a studio, those games are withheld from everyone except for PlayStation consoles. If Xbox buys a studio, their games go nearly everywhere except PlayStation consoles. Epic, Steam, Windows, PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and mobile, xCloud on iOS and Android devices. So there is zero reason to own a PC or Xbox but an Android phone. I don't know what he's talking about right here. They name a bunch of games Xbox didn't even make. They farmed those out to other studios. They didn't even own or manage a time where Microsoft didn't want to fund first party or Xbox in the 2010s. I'd also be interested in their view on the hundreds of developers I know during my almost 15-year stint at Sony that were laid off only 1 year as they closed countless first-party studios. Yeah, they don't talk about the studios that Sony just closed. They laid off or they closed those studios. Apparently they aren't mentioned, but Microsoft mentioned like Microsoft sure comes and cancels games though. Okay, that's interesting. Xbox gamers glad they finally using it. PlayStation fans didn't actually expect them to use it. LOL. Haha, they are getting a taste of what it was like competing at Sony, not since 1994, and they hate it. Yeah. They always brag about how Microsoft needs to compete. When Microsoft does compete, they're like, they got the shocked face. Like, oh, it's like, why is Microsoft actually competing now? Okay. Let's see. I respect these guys and I won't call them ponies. I listen to their show here and there. So you wouldn't call them ponies? Like, what's the difference between them complaining and crying between like the other video I did about the other fanboy JTech complaining about games going to PC? I'm not really seeing too much of a difference. One is complaining about games going to PC, while others complaining that Microsoft might be buying games for the ecosystem. They both sound like whiny fanboys to me. Okay. Microsoft has a track record of mismanaging their studios in the past, but take these last 3 years, for example. They are funding, growing, and giving total creative control to their studios, and the last games were really well received. Access to games, did they seriously say that? Under Microsoft, Xbox games are accessible to far more people than under Sony or Nintendo. Even if those platforms are excluded, people will have access to the Xbox, PC, or mobile devices. Is PS5 bought Take-Two, Colin would cheer? Exactly. Like, everybody know, if PlayStation said that, hey, we're buying Take-Two, there would be nothing but cheers, but Xbox is doing it. It's a rumor that they might be doing it, then it's like, it's the worst thing ever. But because this Xbox supposedly buying them is the worst thing in the world, do you not see the hypocrisy here? If Sony was the one buying all these studios, they would never keep the same energy. He sounds really jealous. Yeah, he does. I'm going to say this as an Xbox fan. I don't disagree 100% with what they are saying. They haven't done the best in managing teams, even in the 360 era. I'm glad they are fixing the issues now and at the same time growing the teams they have while bringing in the good management pups. I am with you on this. They have a point, but I just think they took a bit the extreme when they said nobody's going to tolerate Microsoft buying Take-Two. Many PC, Xbox, and multi-platform games were more than tolerated. However, he is right when he says many will hate Microsoft for it. They already hate Microsoft. They already hate Microsoft. They make daily podcasts and daily Twitter spaces about Microsoft. People already hate Microsoft, so what's the point? They just like they're gonna hate them even more now? Like, okay. And then he says nobody's gonna tolerate Microsoft buying Take-Two. Like, what are they gonna do about it? What can you do about it? But except buy the Xbox or buy a PC. Like, what can you do about it? Let's see. What does it say? Ponies, Xbox got new games. Microsoft buys Bethesda. Ponies, because the shocked Pikachu face. Okay. So, It's a hard pill to swallow for some, but these guys need to just accept that Xbox finally has the backing they need to be huge. Early Xbox One, Microsoft treated Xbox like a separate entity. Now they are embracing Xbox more, so Xbox is getting more funded and more acquisitions. Okay. I'm sorry Sony doesn't have money to keep up, but either Microsoft buys it or somebody else does. Also, just buy an Xbox. It's not that hard. Series S, pretty easy. Great console, great price. Yeah. Like you could just buy an Xbox, like how we have to buy a PlayStation to play Wolverine and Spider-Man 2, so he can do the same. Let's see. Wait until Tencent buys something they want. Better keep that same energy. Let's see. Fear. At first, it was Xbox has no games. Now, please stop buying studios. Competition is good for everyone. They could cry more. Clowns. This is pathetic. Are these guys satire now? Based on the video, I would never get this podcast the time of day. He seems to be ultra fanboy, to be honest. It seems like a big Sony fanboy circle jerk, to be honest. Let's see if Dustin keeps the same energy on, I don't know who these people are. Cry more ponies. I really like these guys actually, but the more popular Xbox gets, the more they act like this. Xbox was in a bad spot during Xbox One generation. They fixed that and are finally investing in games. PlayStation guys ate well for almost a decade, and now they're going to miss some meals. In the end, Xbox gamers get what they want, so it's a win for Xbox gamers, which is the point. Didn't Sony just buy Insomniac Games in 2019? You know, the company who makes Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man. Those might be Sony exclusives, but they weren't made by a Sony company at the time. Yeah, they don't care about that. It's like, just say whatever they can say to say PlayStation good, Xbox bad. Whatever narrative they're going to go with, they're going to use it. The big cry. This conversation sounds like it's coming from a place of fear. PlayStation gamers are just opponents in general, forgot how to grow a pair, and accept the reality that Xbox is becoming more than just a gaming platform and not respected. This video is sad. The 5 stages of grief, denial, anger, what does that one say? Bargaining, depression, and then acceptance. What is Sony without Insomniac right now? They have a solid lineup, however this gen would be dead without them right now. Yeah, a studio that they bought, it's like it sounds like it's doing the most work right now for Sony right now. So, if Microsoft never bought Double Fine, Second Ops 2 would not have been as great as it was. Even though the developers had said they were running out of time, if Microsoft not helped them, when they did, they would have been left with no options but to send the game out as is. Okay. The Butthurt podcast, so funny. It's not fair. Xbox is buying all these studios and sniff, sniff. They don't need all those games. We need some too. This is hilarious. Man, like I said, the crying is disgusting. Crackdown 3 made for a fun weekend of co-op. People are silly. I'm like, Crackdown 3 was at least a decent game. I at least had fun playing a single player. I didn't play the multiplayer, but I played the single player. The game was at least decent for what it was. I love how serious this conversation is. I mean, come on, man. We just want to play games. That's all. Sony have acquired most of their first-party studios. They go quiet when you mention that. Keep crying. We are not sorry. I mean, he's patently wrong. If that was the case, Sony wouldn't be going around getting time exclusives for every game. Yeah, like nobody complains about he doesn't complain about Sony getting all these exclusive deals for these different games like Avengers and like time exclusive games. Like he's not complaining about that though. Like really? Colin the Clown. For F's sake, sick of this argument. It's redundant already. But I thought you wanted competition. I guess they did want competition because they just whining like, yeah. I guess they didn't want competition really. The salt which these pony plebs is real. It definitely is real. They're definitely salty. Let's see. Then he said Microsoft is mismanaging teams like they don't know what they're doing. Like isn't like Mojang when they bought Minecraft that's like the most successful IP right now of all games in general. Minecraft is, which Microsoft bought. So I don't know. So stupid and yet again reveals Colin's bias towards Sony. He all but says Microsoft buying studios is bad, but if Sony did, it's okay. Shaking my damn head. Also, assuming this is the same Xbox decision from a decade ago, it's like assuming it's the same Sony that messed up the PS3 at launch. Xbox doing what they do best, a copium session over fast. You hate to see it. But wouldn't this be like Sony fanboys having a copium session? Like, what are you talking about? Okay. Uh, if these guys were in the same room, they'd be like this, talking about Microsoft bad and literally crying about the S Sony has done since the 90s. Okay. Did these dudes personally get on camera and suck each other off on PlayStation, or does it happen naturally? Okay. Yeah, this is a little hilarious. LMAO, these points actually said, what's the point of Xbox ban Ninja Theory? I guess they've been living under a rock with Hellblade. I can't make this us up, people. Yeah. The butthurtness is real. The salt mines is real. They stay salty over Microsoft making moves. But meanwhile, Sony makes these acquisitions. It's not a bad thing, though. So that's just blatant hypocrisy at this point. And just this, it's just hilarious. So I'm gonna conclude it right here. Definitely see your thoughts down below. Leave a like for this video. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.